welcome to last week, week 4, day 1. So we're almost towards the end of our course. I'm really counting on you guys to pass this exam. Seriously. Hopefully, everything will go well. Jokes aside, you guys, after the course, if you need any help, let me know. Reach out to me, me or even Faz. We'll try to help you guys out as much as we can. But I think yeah. I was just talking to Kate and Juliet. I just get the exam out of the way sooner than later. Sooner than later. Um, and that's probably the best way to do that. Yes. So I was also thinking, that is, let's go through it and then we think about it. Okay. So we've got 7. I know Richard won't be joining us probably because he's stuck at work and I think he's going to go and watch the videos. Hi, Marisa. Hello, Mariam. Let's have a quick chat about EVM. How did you guys go with the exercise? Did you guys understand? Is the formula okay? Tell me, what can I do to make it easy for you guys? No one? And suddenly everybody remembered they had an EVM exercise to do.
I gone through the exercise, Fahim, and I did as much as I can, and it looks good for me. But normally the question looks good, and you do things everything all right, and then come to the answer, maybe you got a wrong answer.
No, I understand it. So do you guys want to talk about it? Do you want to discuss? I'm happy to spend 5-10 minutes on the exercise activity 4-2. Are you guys okay with that? If you guys have understood, I'm sure you guys must have looked at the answers now.
Oh, I didn't look at the answer.
Yeah,
which is good.
yeah.
Really good. Really good.
Yeah, I didn't look at the answer.
Then let's do it. Seriously, it's really good. That means I'm really happy that you guys did do it. So let's do that then. Let's go to activity 4-2.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
So let's work it out. Let's spend some time figuring out, what can or cannot be done. So 4-2 question. So we've got a scenario there. Everybody can see the scenario. Your office building is undergoing minor renovation, right? The entire project is scheduled to last 16 weeks at a total cost of 25,000. Is 8 weeks into the project and your manager asks you whether the project is on schedule. You plan to use various analysis techniques to determine the status. Okay, number 1, you plan to measure project progress by comparing the actual performance against the planned performance as documented in the schedule and cost baseline. What method will you use? Who wants to have a try? Who wants to give a go? EVM, earned value management. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. Earned value management.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So okay, earned value management. That's what you're doing. That's what it does. So earned value management. Hello, Abdullah. Okay, and the second one, according to your baselines, you expected to complete $15,000 worth of work by the end of 8th week. What is the term? What is the term for this information? So you were expected to complete. So that means that was something that you budgeted yours, right? That was your planned value.
PV?
PV, planned value, right? Planned value, right? What you
Yes, that's correct. Yes,
right?
yes.
That's what if you focus on the definitions, it's going to be very easy, right? Earned value, the work that you have done. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
According to your status report, you have completed 48% of the work so far. Based on information, what is the earned value and how did you calculate it? So what are the formula? Let's go back to some of the formula. So you need to calculate earned value, which is EV, right?
Yes.
So which formula has EV? Okay, number 1. What is given to you? You are given percentage of work completed.
Correct. 48%. Right? Yeah.
Okay, 48% so far. Now, right? So what is but first of all, what is the total cost of the work?
25,000.
25,000. Sorry.
Yeah, what is 48% of 25,000?
12,000.
12,000, right? So which formula has, percent complete minus EV? Go back to your formulas. Where are the formulas? We have, I sent you guys a formula sheet. So there was a formula that talks about percent complete. Where is it?
Is EV is 12,000 for him or not?
Yes, EV is 12,000, right?
Yes.
EV is 12,000, right? So you remember we said, what is the percent? You have completed 48% of the work.
Correct.
So EV is the earned value, the work that you have done. So your total budgeted cost was 25,000, and you have done 48% of that, which is equal to, that's what I say. What is the 48% of 25,000? 12,000. That's your EV is 12,000.
Okay.
Make sense, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Then we go to question number 4. How you determine the AC for your project? What is AC?
Actual cost.
Actual cost. So how would you determine the actual cost of your project?
Well, in this case here, actual cost is not calculated amount.
So look at your scenario. We're talking about the scenario, right?
Yes.
How would you calculate the actual cost from this?
Yeah, you haven't done it yet.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yes.
You don't have that information. So, and how do we get the actual cost in a real life scenario? What do you guys think? How do we get the actual cost in the real life scenario?
When the job is completed?
Yeah, no, but how do we get it? How do you get that information?
Actual
so if you're
cost.
running a project, let me go to Kate. I was talking to Kate, and she's got very nice chart description of project schedule, right, Kate? No, I mean it because so when you are looking at that schedule, you want to know how much budget you have spent. What do you do? How do you find that out, Kate? Practically in your project, what do you do?
Well, I was thinking about a bit different thing. Basically, as I understand, the actual cost is sort of a summary of your project expenditures, like project costs.
Yeah, that's fine. But how do you get it? My question: how do you get that? So if I ask,
well, I guess there are multiple sources. I mean, you can check this in your statements, like financial records, probably.
You go to your finance team. You don't have it handy.
Yeah.
So you have to answer. So in this project, finance team hasn't given you the cost. So I'm just in this scenario. So what I'm trying to get at is that you don't know the actual cost, right? The actual cost is calculated based on the daily rate, different rates and contractor rates and so on and so forth. There's complex formulas. And at the end of every month, like you do project forecasting, where do you get the actuals from? You get the actual from your finance team or whosoever is there, right? PMO or project manager does not really have access to actuals all the time, right? You rely on statements and information from the finance team. Does it make sense?
Yeah, like financial controls as well.
Yeah, exactly, financial control. So you can estimate, you can schedule, but actual cost is not with you. Will never be with you, right? Come from the system. Okay. Then we have hi Lakesh, by the way. Then we have given the PV, EV, and SV values that you know. What action should you take at this point? Choose two. So what is EVM is used for? We looked at it. First one was looked at planned performance, right? So now you have PV, right? So which is planned value was 15,000, right? So if you look at question 2, your plan was to complete 15,000 words, but you actually completed $12,000 dollar of work, right? So that means you are what? Ahead of schedule, behind schedule?
Behind schedule.
Behind schedule, because you were expecting to complete $15,000 of work, but you only did $12,000. And guess what? The new kid on the block who just joined the call took the trophy away from you guys. Well done, Lakesh. Yeah. So what are you going to do?
I picked B and C, and And the reason why was because it didn't make sense to me to talk to their stakeholders without first finding out what the issue was. And then I thought to myself, well, there's no point of investigating the root issue until you have made a decision whether you need a corrective action. So I kind of worked backwards.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. You killed it, man. That's fine. That's right. Always, I keep saying that, and guys, try to make this a kind of a habit. When you read the questions, the first thing you should do, eliminate the ones that do not fit at all. So when you read the 4 questions, instead of trying to find out the 4, so if you look at the first one, bring it to the attention of change control board with some possible solutions. You're not going to do that change control board unless you have identified what the change is required, right? So think logically, how the logic works, right? Similarly, the 4th one, bring it to the attention of project stakeholders. Okay, fine. What action should you take at this point? So yes, you're going to bring it to the stakeholders, but yeah, we're going to tell them what? Oh, by the way, the project is behind schedule. Thank you very much. No, you need to give them something concrete. You need to tell them, what corrective action we are going to take to resolve the problem, right? And also find out the root cause of the problem. Yeah. So just think. Anyway, what is the SV for your project? So what is SV? Abdullah, what does SV stands for?
Schedule variance.
Good. And how did you calculate it and what does it indicate? So what is, first of all, who's going to calculate the schedule variance for that? Did you guys calculate it? So what is the formula for SV? Stephanie, do you want to try?
Yeah, it is EV minus PV.
Yeah, so EV is 12,000 and PV is 15,000. So the SV is negative 3,000.
Yeah.
Okay, what does it mean, negative 3,000? What is it telling you? So if the schedule is negative, that you are ahead of schedule, behind schedule, on schedule, behind schedule, right? So negative is behind schedule. Well done. Okay, let's look at the next one. What is the SPI for your project? So, okay, Juliet, what is SPI? Let me put you. What do you think? What is SPI? Juliet, you there? Okay, probably not. Let's go to Marisa. Marisa, do you want to tell us what is an SPI?
The calculation result from the SPI.
No. What does SPI stand for? What is it?
Schedule something. I did it last week and I kind of forgot.
That's fine. So S for schedule, P for performance.
Yeah, schedule performance index.
Right. Okay, good. So I gave you some tips when you're calculating these. So remember, EV always comes first, right? So whether you're doing SPI, so index is percentage, so EV divided by whatever. And when you're doing cost performance, EV divided by actual cost or okay. Anyway, so SPI, what's the SPI for this? So what's the formula? EV divided by?
EV.
EV, yeah. So, and it comes out to be?
0.8.
Okay, wonderful. And what does it indicate?
It's behind.
It's behind schedule, right? So if it is below 1, you're behind schedule. If it is above 1, more than 1, it is ahead of schedule. And if it's exactly 1, that means you're on schedule. Okay. Then there's a textual answer. What should you do with the results of your performance measurement? Okay. So what is the first thing you have determined from these calculations? So Kate, do you want to explain what did we find out?
So we found out that we are behind the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you going to do with it? So as a project manager, you're going to work around trying to see, what activities are behind schedule, what's your critical path, how you can, what corrective action, right? So in fact, now hang on a second. Do we need to take corrective action or preventive action? What do you think, Kate? Are we taking corrective action or preventive? Sorry.
So we are already behind the schedule. So this means we need to get back on track. So this would be a corrective action.
Well done. Exactly. So corrective actions are to fix the problem. Preventive actions are to
prevent.
No, the preventive actions are to avoid getting into problem in future. Right. Okay. Well done. Okay, is everybody clear?
Yeah, that's all good, Fahim.
Okay, wonderful. Mohammed Noor?
Oh, yes, fine.
Okay, no, I know. I just want to make sure because we're going through this. Are you comfortable with the answers now?
Yes, very good, very good.
Okay. Okay. Performance reports. Let's continue with our performance reports. Right. Uh, so performance report, as you guys know, performance reports are basically, you're indicating the status of your project, information. So in Agile, so we talked about the Agile is very visual. So whereas traditional is very textual or a lot of information. So in terms of information radius, so in Agile, we use a concept called information radiators, which are big visual boards to display, what the status is, right? The aim is, the reason it is called information radiator is that it is to radiate information all about the project to everyone, right? It is usually, Kanban can be one of the ways to do that as well. It's usually put up in a place where it is uh, easily accessible for anyone. So instead of anyone coming and disrupting Agile team for asking for the information, they can just pass by and they can look at the information on the board. So yeah, that makes sense. We know what it is. That's the information radiator. So that's what is called information. It could be Kanban board, could be we're talking about burn down, burn up chart. Now, what is a burn down chart? Now, burn down chart is a graph basically burn down what effort has been done up till now in the iteration, right? So it basically tells you how many user stories you have completed in the sprint and how many are left, right? So that's what it is, right? And burn up chart is basically progress of the project across the by the project team over time. So burn up is for the project progress, burn down is for sprint or iteration status. Pretty much the same thing, but more or less little different concept. Okay, we talked about earned value management reports, which is variance analysis. We can calculate SPI, CBI, SV, TV, and so on and so forth, right? Then there are quality reports, then we have dashboard reports, and then we also have task reports. Okay, and these are some ways, some options that we have for performance reporting, depending on the type of a project you're doing. Then there's a concept called value stream. Now, value stream is, in fact, I just want you guys to understand what it is. You probably don't have to. It is basically used in lean enterprise. It is a lean enterprise technique. Now, how many of you know what is a lean concept? Do you guys know what is a lean concept? Anyone?
We're trying to minimize the waste.
That's right. Lean concept is trying to minimize the waste. This has come from early 20th century. Ford started it, then Japanese basically really worked on it. I think I mentioned to you guys about a concept called end-on chord. I don't know if you guys watched that video. Just Google it, end-on chord, to see how that works. It's basically that you don't want to you want to minimize the waste so that you can, whether it's in terms of logistics or manufacturing, normally came from manufacturing, but there should be no waste and everything should be productive, right? So that's the word. It's basically I just want you guys to know that it is used for document analyze, improve the performance of information or material required to produce a service for a customer. So consider, the process chain that the product is going through during manufacturing. It is to make sure that there's minimum waste or there's no waste. That's the whole concept in there. So don't need you guys to know. By all means, I think you should know lean, but whether you need it from the exam point of view, probably not. Just remember from value stream is that the idea is to minimize repeatable process, right? If you're repeating a process, that's basically you're wasting effort, time and effort. You don't need it. So the way it works is minimize the waste by, removing the repeatable work or repeatable process there. Anyway, do you know in project and in any industry, the most waste occurs when there are hands off. So design is passing on to manufacturing passing on to implementation team, and so on and so forth. These hands off, because you're passing on the knowledge from one team to another team, that creates a lot of time, takes long time. If you can minimize those hands off, then you can improve the production. You can improve that's the whole concept of lean. Minimize the hands off, so that it's an ongoing process. Anyway, that's bit of an advanced topic, but yeah, for sure. What is the retrospect? So who's going to tell me what is a retrospect? Come on, guys. You're going to tell me what is a retrospect.
When you go back to most of the points related to the project and what went well, and you have discussions around like what could be better, and this kind of things, like pretty much lessons learned. Okay, good. And if you're talking more retrospect, which methodology are we referring to?
Agile.
Agile.
Okay. Agile, good. Okay, the next question is Juliet. Juliet, are you back? Nope. Okay. Miriam, you there?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. You're going to give us the 4, I've given you half the answer. I was going to ask you the 4 ceremonies of the Agile in sequence. So what's the first one?
Spring? No.
It's a bit hard to hear you. Miriam, your voice is muffled. Can you speak a little louder, please?
Sprint?
Sprint, yeah, but what is it called? So sprint, we know sprint, but what is the first ceremony? Sprint what?
Sprint review.
No. Okay, that's fine. Let's go to Marisa. Do you want to try? Can you give us the 4 ceremonies, Agile ceremonies?
Sprint planning.
Yep.
Daily stand-ups.
That's right.
Sprint review.
Sprint review.
And retrospective.
Retrospective or sprint retro or retro. Thank you very much. So that's the last one. And the whole idea of the retro, thank you very much, Marisa. Thank you, Marima, as well. Is the whole concept of doing a retro, which, like Carlo rightly said, is basically lesson plan. But what you're trying to do is get enough information so that you can better plan the next sprint. So remember, retro is always at the end of the sprint. So you're trying to better plan the next sprint. That's the whole idea, right? Oh, sorry. Some guidelines for this is pretty good. I would ask you guys to read this. That's why I'm going to focus a little bit time on it. Conducting for retrospective. Okay. Place 2 large sheets marks what went well and what could be improved. So you basically put 2 posters, or you go to a work on the whiteboard. You put a heading there, what went well and what could be improved, and then you give everyone, basically the best way to do is give everyone post-it notes. Okay, guys, what do you think went work well? Somebody who created post-it notes, should have what do you call it? Should have what do you tell? Making in loyalty. So I forgot. Copyright, should have copyrighted it. So because it's so much information, people use post notes so much. The person must be a billionaire now by now. The amount of post notes we use in project management. Sorry, got distracted. To the post, you give post-it notes to everyone and say the entire Agile team. You sometimes also invite sponsor, or you can invite client as well. Okay, what do you think? And everybody goes and puts there, and then you may come up with 10, 15 ideas or whatever, and then you prioritize what you're going to focus on the next sprint. Right? You just don't pick all of them, but you basically try to prioritize, right? And that's how you do it. Okay. Any questions, guys? Okay. One more. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions just to refresh this. Okay. Who owns the product backlog? Who is responsible for adding the items in the product backlog or owning the item? Who is responsible for prioritizing the product backlog? Come on. Who is responsible for product owner? Thank you very much, Kate. Who is responsible for sprint backlog? Who is responsible for sprint backlog?
Project manager?
No.
Scrum
Project
Master.
team.
Who said that team?
I said.
Yes, okay, that's right. Sprint backlog is owned by sprint team or agile team, because they are the best people to know what would deliver value at the end of the project, at the end of the sprint for the customer. So they own it. Okay, what's in the chat? Sorry. Okay, sorry, I missed that. Okay, who can add items in the product backlog? So we now know who owns the product backlog. Who can add items in the product backlog? Mariam, Lakesh. Anyone can add item in the product backlog. Anyone can do it. Any stakeholder can do it. But it is the product owner's responsibility to prioritize that in discussion with the stakeholders and what are the requirements in the Scrum team, right? Anybody can add it. Okay. Okay,
And how about the sprint backlog? Would that be just the new items would be added by the team, just the team?
Sorry, come again.
So the sprint backlog, the new items would be added up by the team, the project team, the owner.
Oh, the sprint. So okay. You're saying who puts the item in the sprint backlog? Okay. So once you prioritize the product backlog, then the next step is put them in the sprint backlog. So that once that is prioritized, so you put prioritize item in the sprint backlog, and then from there sprint team takes over and they go through it. Okay. So the outcome of the sprint backlog review, backlog refinement, grooming is that it comes up with the features that needs to go into the sprint. Okay. Okay. There's an activity there supporting team performance. I'm going to leave that. You guys by all means read it. I'm pretty sure you guys can do it. But if you need help, let me know. There's a lot of text involved. But if you need any help, by all means, we can review it. I want to go to topic D, which is, I think we did the C last time. So I'll go to topic D. We've done C, right? We did C, impediment. Yeah, I remember. Okay. Okay, so 3, 4. I think we did this one as well last time. Okay, so let's do topic D, manage conflict. All right, you guys remember manage conflict? So who's going to give me the conflict management techniques? There are 4 or 5, I don't remember, 5 or probably 10 conflict management techniques. So how many are there? First of all, how many conflict management techniques there? Come on, Abdullah. I can see you want to tell me.
Should I start with then we would count on, or should I tell the count first?
Sorry, come again?
Should I tell the count first, or should we start with the number 1?
That's fine. Whatever you feel like.
Okay, I guess there are 4, and I'll just give one. That's a negotiation.
Conflict management techniques, not conflict skills.
Oh, I remember.
Sorry?
There's 5.
5.
Yeah, and
Abdullah, you just lost 5 points, right?
Thanks, Lakesh.
I'm telling you, Lakesh, I think he's been listening. Okay, Lakesh, give us, my friend, the techniques.
Yeah, avoidance, accommodation, so accommodating conversation, competing, so different interests, collaborating, working with the person, and compromise.
Okay, so give me again. So avoid,
accommodate.
Sorry, compromise, accommodate, and what did you say? Collaborate,
collaborate, and compete.
Okay, compete. Yeah, well,
where there's
compete,
like
basically forcing.
Yeah, forcing. Yeah,
forcing, right? So, so now that we remember, so you remember we talked about it. So a lot of this, what we're going to talk about is we've covered that, but I want you guys to just focus on it because this is something really, really important. Conflict management. Managing conflict is the responsibility of all stakeholders. Remember from the exam point of view. Managing conflict is the responsibility of all stakeholders. It's not only one. By the way, thanks, Lakesh. I appreciate that. Okay. Project manager definitely highly influences this. He or she is the project leader, team lead. So yes, has a lot of influence on it, right? But it's not left to project manager to solve the problem. So you remember we talked about it. If there's a conflict, we did a question on it. The first thing you need to do is go and talk to that person yourself before you escalate it, before you talk to anybody, right? So you need to get that sorted out yourself. That's why everybody is responsible for managing conflict, right? In agile projects, the PM facilitate conflict resolution while the team is empowered to solve conflicts. Remember, this is a very key word. In an agile environment, PM can facilitate, but it's the team, they need to solve their own conflict. Why is that? Because agile teams are self-organizing, empowered teams, right? Okay. The concept in agile team of a project manager is a servant leader, somebody who facilitates, somebody who's thinking more about the team than him or herself, somebody who's facilitating getting all the impediments, blockers, conflicts out of the way. Make sense? Okay. Give me the causes of the conflict. Let's go. I'm going to go from the top. So, Stephanie, tell me, what are the causes of the conflicts? What do you think? You're in a team. What could be the reason for the conflict?
Different culture, different language.
Yeah, culture, understand different language. Yeah, we better have fun language, by the way, but yeah. Yep, that's good. Okay, Mohammed Noor, what do you think? What are the different, what do you think? What is the reason for conflict? Why do we have conflict?
Different approach, different method, different solution.
Yeah. So I think, so everybody is focused on doing a project goal, right? Look at the team. Everybody has a common focus, but we are all different. We have different values, we have different perceptions, we have different perspectives, we have come from different cultures, we're all from different households. Even the siblings have different perspective of a life, right? Depending on the situation. So we as a human, we are all different. So we are bound to have a conflict. Now, that does not mean we are bound to have a fight over it, but it's just that we bound to have a disagreement about certain things, and that's how life is, right? So you can say that conflict is inbuilt in human nature, right? That's what it is. It could be for any reason. It's basically a disagreement, right? The biggest problem, and I Stephanie said language, is a communication breakdown. Yeah, and that works in our life and in project as well. If there's a communication breakdown, then there will be a conflict because people, your stakeholders expect something from you as a project manager, you are doing something else, and so on and so forth. So the number one question for me to you guys as a group, and I'm going to go now to probably Marisa, to you first. What is one thing that project manager do to avoid communication breakdowns?
I guess try to agree with everyone how we're going to communicate or clarify with everyone how, when, what to
So
communicate.
what does it is? What does project manager create? What is that document or something called? That approach is called?
Communication management plan.
That's right. So communication management plan. So project manager, the job of the project manager is to make sure that everybody is across what the communication management plan looks like, who's going to get what, when, why, how, and so on and so forth. So that's the key. Okay. How do you avoid conflict in the team? What is one thing that you can do as a project manager to avoid conflict in the team? So remember when we started the course about 4 weeks back, we talked about a document that provides some clarity on how the team is going to function. What is that document called? Kate?
Team charter.
Team charter. Well done. Thank you very much. You guys remember? The team charter is where it gives clarity on who's going to do what, roles and responsibilities, when are we going to meet, how are we going to resolve the problem, how are we going to do, make the decision, and so on and so forth. So these are all what are part of the team charter. Okay. Any questions? No. Okay. From exam point of view, ineffective conflict management leads to destructive behavior, animosity, poor team performance, and reduced productivity. These are the 4 things that you should remember. Ineffective conflict management leads to destructive behavior, animosity, poor performance, and reduced productivity. I'm sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister for me. Why is that? Because if the team is not on the same page, if you're not getting along with someone, but you're forced to sit next to that person, you're not going to be happy, right? There will be lack of trust, right? And you will never become a high performing team. Okay. Change management, guys. You remember change management? Change management is an essential capability and significant professional practice in its own right. That's the key. There are a couple of models, and I think for your just for your understanding. So one is Lewin's McKinsey 7S model. So in around I think late 70s, early 80s, McKinsey is a big consulting company. They came up with 7S model. It was created by the consultants. And the idea was that that in every organization needs to have an effective change. Give a second. Okay. Every organization needs to have a way to manage changes, right? The idea was that, Oh, I didn't realize that we left Julia. Okay. Okay. So the idea was that every organization goes through change, and for an organization to be successful, it needs to be change needs to be managed effectively. So they came up with those models. It says, it was structure, strategy, system. So they said there are some hard skills and there's some soft skills. So hard elements are, structure, strategy, systems, and then they came up with 4 soft elements, which is, organizational skills, shared values, style, staff. And what they did is they put shared value in the middle, and then they plotted all these around them and say, basically shared value is the key, how that, organization needs to manage it to make it effective, right? That's one way of looking at the chamber, and there are a lot of models there. Then there was a gentleman by the name of John Cotter. He came up with his theory of 8-step model, and he basically said, change, which is he came up with this model based on his research, 150 organizations. But the concept of all these models is that change is inevitable, it's going to happen, and the organization needs to find a way to manage the change to be successful. Organizations that fail to manage change can literally collapse. I don't know if you know about this, Have you guys heard about transformation? A lot of organizations go through a lot of transformational, structure, and that is really managed very closely through a proper change management. It's also called organization change management. And the reason it is done that way is that so the organization can be successful in what they're trying to change. So, a lot of organizations, when they're trying to implement going from waterfall approach to agile, they just say, oh, from tomorrow we're going to do agile, little realizing what are the steps involved, how they're going to impact the organization, and they tend to fail. I know an example of the bank that it's an international bank. I don't want to say the name because then it becomes a reference point. It's a very big multinational bank, American bank, and it took them 3 years to move from waterfall to agile in US. Like 3 years, they did a lot of work, and it turned out to be very successful. But they are one of the very few successful organizations around the world because they spend time in change management, making sure everybody's across it. How is it going to work? How is it going to impact everyone? And so on and so forth. So change management is very key in terms of project management. Please remember that. Okay. There are some other models as well, but these are the two key ones. We talked about conflict management approaches, so I won't go into the detail. So Rakesh explained them. Thank you very much. But do remember them. Do remember the difference. What's the difference between them? When to use this? You may, as a project manager, end up using all 5 in a project. So there's no fixed approach. It's all situational based, but how you manage and do your work. Okay, we talked about team charter. That's one of the things to avoid it. Let's do a quick activity, managing conflict. So if you go to activity 4-5, let's spend give you guys 5 minutes to do the activity.
Sorry, page, please.
Sorry, page 228. 228. 228. Okay, let's do it as a quick chat as well. So, Juliet, are you back, Juliet? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Lakesh, you there, man?
Yep, I am.
Yeah. Do you want to read the scenario for us, if you don't mind, please?
Yep. 1 second.
228, please.
The new system upgrade project has been running smoothly, thanks in large part to the efforts of the transition manager, Sarah. She has been instrumental in getting all the teams working together to meet their tight deadlines. During a crucial phase in the project, Sarah falls ill. A less experienced manager, Kevin, is brought in place to replace her. Confusion increases, and the team members are arguing about timing and expectations of the transition activities.
Okay, thank you, Lakesh. What do you think, Mariam? Can you read the first question?
Yes.
Thank you.
as a project manager, what can you do to mitigate the negative effects of the staffing change?
Okay. Okay. So let's look at the options, Miriam. So if you don't mind, if you could read those as well.
The correct one or all these options?
No. So what are the two incorrect outright? What are the two incorrects outright?
I think the first one, put the project on hold until Sarah returns from
That's right.
school.
You will never have that. That's good. Okay.
And the last one.
The last one. So first and last are totally incorrect. Can never be right. That is it. Does everybody agree with me? Okay. Right. So
Yes.
okay. You know, if president goes on leave, the work doesn't stop. The work still goes on. So you know, Sarah is not there, but you know, we can't stop the work. Okay. So what is then, Miriam, is the correct one?
Closely monitor Kevin work to assess any possible risk.
Okay. Anyone else? Does everyone agree with this?
I would say rebuild the schedule to include additional time for Kevin to complete his tasks.
Okay. So,
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So 2 against 1. So who's for 2? Who's for 2?
I'm going for rebuild. Yeah, I'm going for rebuild schedule.
Rebuild schedule. Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
I went for C.
Okay.
Closely monitor.
Thank God. Otherwise I was feeling that it's men against women. But anyway, it's good. Okay. What do you think, Kate?
Yeah, I think the third one is correct one.
So which one?
I just don't like the idea of changing the schedule. So I thought the third option would be the right one.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the same as me. Yeah, that's what I was.
Definitely spoke like a true project manager. You don't change schedule, guys, just because somebody's on leave. You try to. So what is your job? Your job is to make sure the project gets delivered on time, on schedule, on scope, right? And you don't rebuild a schedule without a change. Rebuilding a schedule means that you're getting a change in the project. You're changing the schedule. That means you have to go through a project change process. You don't do that just because. You basically help the guy who comes on board to make sure you stay on track. Okay, so well done, Miriam, to picking up and everybody else. So number 3, closely monitor Kevin's work to assess any possible risks.
Fahim, just in regards to, I know that we quickly disregarded the fourth answer. Can I ask why there's a bit of difference between closely monitor Kevin's work to assess any possible risk and require all decisions to go through you until Sarah returns? Because in monitoring Kevin's work, isn't that essentially looking at his decisions anyway? Or
Maybe, but you don't have to wait for Sarah's return, right?
Okay.
You don't, right? So Sarah's return, or what if she comes after 3 weeks? After it's fine. Maybe it's the same thing, but you're not dependent on Sarah's return. You start doing it now, and maybe you continue helping him until after her return as well, right?
Okay. So the focus is the Sarah's return as opposed to.
Yeah. The other thing is you don't want everybody to again rely on you as a decision maker. You support Kevin because Kevin is brought in to replace her, not you. Kevin has been brought in to replace Sarah, not you. It's not your job to run Sarah, whatever the role is. It's the Sarah. You know what I mean? So if you're, then you might as well take over Sarah's role. You don't need Kevin.
Okay. So it's the functionality here. Like as soon as you start to replace their function, then essentially you're making them redundant, I guess. And for that reason, you're not necessarily redundant, but you're taking the function, so you're kind of overriding them in some sense, or and for that.
No. But in overhead, if I let me give you a very example that I had. So I was doing a project with one of my organizations. We're delivering for a bank, and an architect designer. We used to have this was the days of IBM. We used to have a solution design as part of the team. The guy fell ill and he left. I couldn't do his job. I had to get somebody from his team to do that same job. Right? I still facilitated, worked through with the client, took her there, but she took over the role of the solution design. So the competency and functionality and skill, I didn't have that as a project manager. Right? So you can't, as a project manager, stop all, force all the team to go through when you don't even have the skills. Your job is to facilitate and get a win-win for the project. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense.
Okay, no worries, man. Thank you. Okay, what can be done to help project team with the transition activities? Okay, what are some things that you would do to keep team focused on the objective? What do you guys think?
Make sure that there is no breakdown in terms of communication, for example.
Right, good. Keep communicating, making sure everybody understands, Sarah is not there, but somebody else there. So that's fine. Project is still continuing. You keep the communication open. You keep everybody focused on project objectives, goals. Just because Sarah is not there doesn't mean that it's going to stop. So there are a few things. Okay. There are a few other things. Okay, what's the number 3? So number 3, you sit in a meeting being held by Kevin and team members working on the transition activities. That's an interesting question, right? The conversation gets passionate and intense about how to best implement a technical feature in which you have little knowledge or no experience. So you don't have it, right? What is the best option as project manager in situation? What's the one, guys? Number 1. So before we go to the question, so we had Sarah. Okay, so think just this is a question I'm going to ask you guys, right? We had Sarah who was doing it, all the work. Then she went on leave. She fell ill, and somebody new was brought in. Kevin was brought in, right? And the first sentence, the statement says confusion increases. Why is that? What happened there? Team was performing team had a problem. A new resource was brought in, and team immediately went into forming stage. The new person brought in, right? Remember we talked about team stages of development. So team was norming or performing, whatever. Suddenly, a new resource was brought in at a critical point. There was, confusion arises. Why people didn't know Kevin? There was confusion, right? So team development stage immediately reset to norming. Does it make sense? Okay. Now you're in norming stage. Now think about question 3. The team is back in the norming stage. And I'll set up a scenario for you guys, right? And there's a conversation gets passionate and intense about how to implement. Because why is it intense and passionate? Think about it. Because there's a lack of trust in Kevin. He's a new guy. We've been here for a long time. Sarah is not here. She would have done, somebody would say, oh, Sarah would have done this way and so and so. Anyway, it's a technical decision. You as a project manager has no experience or knowledge of how it is done, right? What is the best option as project manager in this situation? Mohammed Noor, what do you think?
The way that you explained, we are already in a norming session. Quite hard, but for this particular question, I choose already side with your favorite. I will go with subject matter expert.
Okay.
But
before you continue, sorry, Mohammed, I need to.
Yeah, sure.
Identify 2 absolute incorrect answers.
Okay. Yep.
Which is the first incorrect answer that you there's no way you should take that as a project manager? What's the first one?
I personally, I think force Kevin to make a decision.
Yeah, that's what you will never force Kevin to make it. Because why? Because you don't know you don't have the experience, you don't know the knowledge. So
Yeah.
you're not going to force someone to make a decision, because you're forcing a decision means that you're making a decision, right? So that's number 1.
Yeah.
What's the second one? Carlo, what do you think the second totally incorrect one that you think is just should not happen there?
I'd say avoiding yourself. Avoiding involving yourself as a decision maker.
So you believe that's an incorrect. You should.
I think so.
You should not avoid becoming a decision maker. Is that what you're saying?
I think you can have like all the ways, as for example, servant leader. You can like guide the person to find like the best way to find an answer.
So you basically
not taking the decision for like another like team member of the group, I guess.
Yeah, so you basically, what you're saying is, so that's what I'm saying, this is probably not an incorrect one. That's probably could be the right answer. I'm just saying, give me the incorrect answer, which is
Got
you
it.
think this should not be. So fourth, Kevin. The other third one is halt the meeting and take control before things become more intense. You don't do that. You never do that.
Gotcha.
You don't get it, because this is creating a more problem, right? You can halt the meeting and you probably can delay it, but you don't, get it. There's probably sometimes you can do it, right? The fourth one, cite your favorite, most trusted subject matter from the Excel. That is something you should never do. You should not take sides as a project manager. You remember the objective of the project.
Correct.
Not there to take sides, no matter you're trusted or not. You don't know the knowledge. That's why the key thing is you as a project manager have little knowledge or experience on it. So the right answer is avoid involving yourself as a decision maker. Help them facilitate, but you cannot make a decision because you don't know what the right answer is. You may have to delay the meeting, stop the meeting, whatever, but you do not take sides and you do not force anyone to make a decision.
Okay.
And for halting the meeting, and you mentioned that potentially he could halt the meeting and delay it, but I'm just wondering why would that be okay to do in this case? Because it says that it says best implement a technical feature in which you. So in this case, there are multiple solutions about something. It's just a question of getting the best possible implementation. So why would we halt the meeting?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. If the atmosphere of the meeting is very intense and it's getting confrontal,
Okay.
you don't want to end up with 20 people shouting at each other, right?
Right.
So you want to give them time to cool down. Again, get them, sometimes you have to use this based on the situation you're dealing with, right? Sometimes you said, okay, hang on a second, guys. Everybody has their opinion. Why not we just break for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, or let's meet again. Let's everybody go back to the drawing board, think about it. You don't want your job as a project manager is to make sure that it doesn't go out of the control. The meeting should never go out of the, we are all human. I always say projects are delivered by the people for the people. We have to take into consideration human emotions. We're going to cover emotional intelligence now. We have to take into consideration human emotions. And if the emotions are high, you need to calm those emotions down as a project manager. Never run a meeting with people shouting at each other. Never. Take that advice from me, because no matter how good, bad you are, never continue with a meeting where people started shouting at each other. And that can happen as well, by the way.
I reckon we should force Kevin to make a decision just for a laugh.
No, you don't want that. Okay, the last one. Which of the following is typically included in a team charter? Oh my God, that's a question from the first chapter. And I know Stephanie is going to nail it. Come on, Stephanie, give us the answer.
I choose team values, team agreements, and team operating guidelines.
There you go. I knew you were going to nail it. Well done. That's right. That's right. Good. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Sorry, just a quick question, if I may, please. For the number 3, why is the option 3 not really the right option? As it says, hold the meeting and take control before things become more intense. And as we were discussing that, it's probably a good choice to do for the time being, not as an ultimate solution. I was kind of
Yeah, no, you're right. That's why it says, I said 2 or 3 could be the reason. What is your best option as a project manager? So the question is, what is your best option as a project manager? We can assume that meeting is very intense and passionate. Hold the meeting and take control before things become more intense. You won't get a decision because you can't make a decision, right? So the best is avoid involving yourself as a decision maker. But yeah, it could be a situation where you hold the meeting, and so in this case, the best PMI thinks the best answer is, just Stay quiet. Avoid making a decision. You may halt the meeting as well. By the way, yeah, I'm not saying as part of avoiding decision making. You may say, guys, let's stop for a minute. Let's stop for a day or something.
So for that case, it will be the first thing to do, like the first step to do, and then later on you could probably So I was just like wondering, like I'm just saying, why is that not the right option for?
Halt the meeting does not. Okay, let me put it. If I think it from PMP point of view, it says halt the meeting may be the right way to go. But what about avoid involving yourself in the decision maker? But that's the key thing. Don't make yourself a decision maker. But at the same time, so what's the next step you do? You don't want to make a decision maker, but you want to stop the argument, continuous argument. Say, okay, guys, let's stop. Let's avoid. Just hold the meeting. We'll meet up tomorrow to continue the discussion. Let's all cool down. So that's. Don't force anything. Don't go into the decision making in this situation.
Yeah. Thanks.
I know it can become some confusing at times, but okay. So collaborate with stakeholders. We pretty much covered most of it, but I'll still go through it. We know stakeholder register, guys, and we know stakeholder engagement plan. Remember? Okay. Collaboration, we all know what is collaboration. Effective collaboration builds trust between all parties. Very key, important thing. Open dialogue and meaningful communication optimizes understanding of aims and expectation. But the key point is effective collaboration builds trust between all stakeholders. That's what we do, right? What else? Keep discussion transparent to ensure stakeholders are knowledgeable and expectations are set. You have to manage your stakeholders' expectations. You want to make sure there's no confusion. You want to make sure. Okay. Project stakeholders, that's a very good one. I want you to put yourself in there. You remember we talked about the formula for calculating communication channels? So if you swap in this figure organization with project manager, right? So the project manager is dealing with sponsors, customers, suppliers, end users, community-based work, public service, whatever, other employees, other functional managers. Imagine, right? That's the amount of stakeholders the project manager is dealing with. That's why communication and stakeholder management is very important. We talked about, we did a power influence group. Everybody remembers that power influence group? Come on, guys, at least give me a nodding of the head or shaking of the head, so at least I can see that. Do you remember that? We said we did a power influence mapping of the stakeholders, who we want at what stage. The pivot that we did, high power, high influence, low power, low influence, that gave us a feel for who do we need to focus on. We want to focus more on high power, high influence stakeholders because they help us, right? And we want to give attention to high power, low interest so that we can get them to be interested in our project. You remember that? The grid, 4-quadrant grid. Okay. And then we also did a stakeholder engagement assessment, the current state and desired state table. You guys remember that? Okay. That's what we are doing. That's exactly what we're doing here. So we talked about it, all these things in previous chapter. I just want to remind you guys again, just refresh the concept. Do remember that, please. Do remember, these are very important things, right? Stakeholder register is nothing but a contact list. Okay? But remember the definition, a project document including the identification, assessment, and classification of project stakeholders. Okay. Okay. What are some of the collaboration activities that we do? What are the collaboration activities that we do as part of the stakeholders? What do we do? How do we engage with stakeholders in an agile model? How do we engage with stakeholders in an agile? Juliet, can you hear me now? I think Juliet's connectivity is a problem at the moment. What do you think, Mohammed Noor? How do we engage with stakeholders in an agile environment?
Is it a daily Daily stand-up.
Yeah, daily scrum. We do daily scrum. We get team to sit together. That's what we do, right? And then we review, milestone review, backlog grooming session, and project practice, and so on and so forth, right? A lot of. So remember, the Agile is very highly focused on collaboration activity. Okay. Now, the other thing in a normal traditional environment is meeting. Okay. Give me some best practice of the meetings. Stephanie, how do you run a project meeting? What are some of the key things that you do before setting up a meeting?
Set up an agenda first.
Good. All done. You do an agenda. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and then try to work out on suitable time and day.
Good. Suitable time and day. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Good.
And then distribute the project meeting, like pre-project meeting minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after the meeting minutes, you do that. What's that? Kate, give me one more thing. What's the key in project setting of the meeting? What do you guys think?
I think timing is really crucial. Like it should happen in time. It should last for a certain time. Exactly. It shouldn't last for long.
And the most important is you get the right stakeholders in the meeting. You don't get everybody in all the meetings. You get the people that you need to communicate with, get the decision from. That's why we have different meetings. We have STIRCO, we have working group meetings, we have rack status meeting, and so on and so forth. So just remember, the key thing about meeting is that you need to get the right stakeholders so that you can get the outcome that you're looking from the meeting. You don't want to waste everybody's time. Okay. Okay. Stakeholder plan, engagement plan. We talked about that as well. Okay, let's do a quick activity on the stakeholders. Now, this will test your skills from previous learnings as well, right? So let's go to page 234. Let's take. Okay. You guys have read it. Let's do the questions together. Let's do the questions together. So stakeholders are worried about the current. So I believe everybody has read the scenario. Okay. So let's do the first one. So stakeholders are worried about the current state of the project. How should you handle their concern? First, tell me which is the first incorrect answer. Give me the first incorrect.
Take corrective action.
Take corrective action. Okay. Okay.
Document lessons learned.
Document lesson learned. That's the number one.
Oh yeah.
Right, that's the document lesson. You're not. What are you documenting? Let's get the job fixed first before you document anything. What's the other one? What's the really other one?
Send an email justifying your position.
Exactly. You never do that. You don't send an email justifying position. that's not the first thing you do, right? That's not how you handle. Imagine, have you seen how many emails create more confusion than resolve the problem? So what's the right one? What's the right one, guys? What do you think? We are not sending emails. We are not documenting lesson learned. So what's the right one to do? We need to take a corrective action. But what is the first thing we need to do?
Conduct a face-to-face meeting with a clear agenda targeting their specific concerns.
Exactly. So take corrective action is also right, but that's not the first thing you're going to do. What you're going to do is you're going to talk to them face-to-face, sit with them and understand what their concerns are. And then you'll probably have to take some corrective actions. Is everybody with me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, number 2. 2 stakeholders are out of time on a business or out of town on a business trip and are available sporadically. A third person has an extremely busy schedule and can't squeeze another lengthy meeting into his day. You believe it's important to have regular face-to-face interaction with each stakeholder. How can you accommodate their needs? Choose 2. First of all, give me the incorrect one. 2 incorrect ones. So what is the key? What is the key? The requirement is to have a face-to-face. This is what you're trying to have that. So what are the 2 options which doesn't satisfy this requirement? Marisa, Marisa, do you want to have a go? What is the incorrect one in this one?
So the incorrect one, sending a memo via email.
Yep, that's fine.
And the instant messaging service.
That's right. So instant messaging and memo, they're not face-to-face, all right? So what you do is you either use video conferencing or hold a summarization meeting. Okay. Set up a video conferencing and just explain them what you're going to do. Is everybody clear? Good. Well done. Okay, number 3. And this is a very good scenario because it's taking you step by step how you are. Number 3. During the face-to-face meeting with project stakeholders, you explain the need to remove an external resource from the project. It became necessary to add another internal resource to the team, which resulted in changes to the project cost baseline. While you are talking about this issue, you notice that one of the stakeholders continuously looked down at the floor and rapidly tapped her pen against the table. What does her behavior indicate? What might you do? Okay, what do you think? Who wants to explain? The answer can vary, right? There's no definite straight answer to it. But what do you think? What is happening there?
I think from the observation, I think she may not feel happy with the direction. And I mean, personally, if I see that sort of a body language, I would like to get some of the opinion from that person.
Right. So she's not interested. Whatever you're trying to explain to her, she said, "Oh, okay, yeah, whatever." Right. But you should remember, as a project manager, this is very key from exam point of view. You will be in a situation where stakeholders are just not interested in what you're telling them. So what do? You need to reach out to them and draw information from them so you can address the problem. If you're not going to do it, that behavior is going to continue, and that behavior can be very toxic. Right? So you need to draw that stakeholder into a conversation so that you can get what they want from you.
Have a one-on-one session with that stakeholder, for example, and address his or her concerns.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's right. Could be. Okay. So sorry, I just realized something. I haven't. Sorry, guys, just a second. Okay. So the last one. What are lesson learned sessions? When are lessons learned sessions conducted? Come on, I know you guys gonna know. What's the right one? Mariam? Right. Okay, Mohammed, what did you say?
No, carry on. You chose someone.
Yeah, I was just asking Mariam. Mariam, what do you think the right answer is?
One of the project in both predictive, iterative, and agile lifecycle.
That's right. You do it. It doesn't matter whichever environment you are in. You need to make sure you do the lesson learned. Okay.
Sorry, Fahim, is this another trick question?
No, not really. So we talked about that lesson learned should be done throughout the project life cycle, right?
But isn't it for Agile, the lesson learned means retrospective?
Yes. But it's still lesson learned, right? You still do lessons learned, retro or whatever. Oh, you can call it. It's a trick question. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know.
Yeah, so which one is it?
No, but number 3, but you still do lesson learned. So retro is lesson learned, right? So project, okay. I think I know what you're coming from. So when we talk about the agile project, agile projects are broken into sprints, right? Big project is broken into 2-week sprints. You continuously do a lesson learned at the end of each sprint. So you're not doing lesson learned only once even in agile project, you do it at the end of every sprint. So if you have 10 sprints, you will go through 10 retro sessions. I know where you're coming. You're basically saying, it's throughout the project lifecycle. Is that what your question is? Is that what the confusion is?
I would actually think, because I thought this is another trick question. So I actually think at the end of a phase, because it's not at the end of the project. And then because this is not agile, therefore I already kind of cross out everything that say agile or iterative, because again, iteration is in the agile environment. Because I got tricked in the other question a few weeks ago.
I know what you mean. I know. I think you're right, frankly speaking. And now that you mention, think about it. I'm going to go back to PMI, ask them, how did they come up with this? So, but it is, in agile environment, we don't use the terminology lesson learned, but we still, if you go through it, we still do that. That's kind of it's called retro, but it is lesson learned. But anyway, okay, I'll check that out. I've taken the point. We should talk to them and highlight them.
Thank you. So the correct answer is number 3, is it?
That's right. That's right.
The theoretical answer.
Yeah, theoretical answer. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. What I'm going to do is, just gonna quickly, I'm sure these are very small chapters, so you guys are not very tired. I just want to do topic F, which is pretty straightforward, 5 minutes. And then if you've got a question, I'll answer your question. But I would like you guys to do the questions that I've got. I would like to see if we can focus on questions. So let me just open it up. Mentor relevant stakeholder, what that is. So remember, we talked about our stakeholders as our team as well. We come up with a mentoring plan. We do effective assessment so that we can use them, and we come up with the training schedule if we need to do that. Your job is both coaching and mentoring, help them become more proficient or efficient project team. Right? Your job is to increase your team's output by motivating individuals, right? So if you have a motivated people, then you have a successful team as well, right? So there are a lot of mentoring and coaching techniques there. Increase the knowledge base and skill set of all project roles, promote more successful. These are some key points. But the point that I want to make is that start mentoring the relevant stakeholder in the project and expand from there throughout the organization. The last time. So what does that mean? So remember, when we look at the stakeholder engagement assessment, when we do the power influence, we let's say we identify a stakeholder that is in high power, low interest group. You want that stakeholder, high power, low interest stakeholder, to be in high power, high interest, so that you can get the best benefit. And that's where you start mentoring and helping, spending time on this. And what does that really mean, spending time on the stakeholder? You giving them stakeholder the information that they require to be more interested in the project, right? And that's how you approach it, right? You need to focus on certain skills. You want to make sure the stakeholders are on board with you on the project. Does it make sense, guys? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Transformation skills. There's some skills that we use. Transform the party. I would like you guys to have a read of it page. It's just this on 236. I'm going to go through this. From there, I picked up. It talks about, if you guys go on page 236, the last line on the page 236. It talked about the project management leadership styles. Okay. Talked about project management leadership styles. I thought I'll explain you guys, right? So transactional styles. So there's a transactional. So if you look at there are 6 different leadership styles. So let's take about transactional. So transactional is where you focus on goals and feedback and manages by expectation. So that's where your style is. You focus on goals and get the feedback, and you manage by exception. You know, if there's something that you need to really focus on, right? Servant leadership, we talked about it, right? We talked about it. It's the willingness to help the others and put others first rather than yourself. Okay. Then there's a style called transformational, which is basically empowering others to be innovative and creative. So what is agile team do? They are cross-functional, self-organizing teams. So they are very transformational teams. So they have you have empowered them to be innovative and be creative to solve the problem. So that's transformational, right? Then there's a charismatic, which is like pretty much in English, like you inspire people, you motivate people, you know, people look up to you and say, oh, you know, I want to be that like that, you know. So instead of forcing people, people look up to you for, you know, inspiration. That's what charismatic is. You know, he's a very charismatic person. Then there's an interactional, which basically combination of transactional, transformational, and charismatic style, right? It's called interactional. Basically, it's combination of all of these, right? And the last one is laissez-faire. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. You're basically saying you putting everything on others to do the work. You're basically, oh, okay, it's kind of a lazy. I call it a lazy project manager. You say, okay, I'm not doing anything. I'll let others make a decision. Let them do whatever they want to do. It's called laissez-faire. So I think I'm pronouncing it's a French word. Basically, putting everything on the others. These are the 6 leadership style that project manager normally have according to PMP. Okay. Of course, the most effective one is which one? Laissez-faire, right? Let's put it on others. Let's not worry about it. Is that right? Good project manager says yes, right? Servant leadership is the best one to go. Yeah, you're motivating others to be right. There's no criteria there, or what is no 1, 2, 3. But you know, servant leadership is the right way to approach it. You're basically motivating others to do that. Similarly, the next one is charismatic, right? If you are charismatic, people will follow you, right?
Well, Fahim, I have a question here.
Sure.
I think that sometimes as a leader, you can like wear different hats according to the situation or the actions or the goals that you might face. And for example, it's hard to label like a manager, for example, of like being charismatic, for example. He or she could be charismatic. It depends on the situation. But in another like a scenario, for example, he or she could be more transactional, for example.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Leadership is very situational. You may end up a situation where you do need to take a laissez-faire approach and take a step back and let others do the work, make the decision. So we talked about the situation where we said project managers should avoid taking a decision. You know, we did this question. May not have the experience, or no, this may sound negative, but you want to, your leadership style is how you accommodate, and remember how you make people feel comfortable in the job they are doing, right? You don't have to force people. But situational. Sometimes the project objective, you're dealing with the customer stakeholders, and if you have to take a decision, you probably have to take a decision, right? So it's just showing empathy and being recognizing the stakeholders as well. So that's what it is. But yeah, you're right, absolutely. We talk about determining relevant stakeholders. We talked about this. By all means, read it. Mentoring, coaching as a group. That's something you can do. Training and sharing plans. I have a read of this chapter. It's pretty just simple, basic things. It's talking about what you can do. Facilitation, modeling good projects. It's very, very theoretical. Just few. Read page 236 to 238. Some very small. I wanted to highlight the leadership trial that I wanted to cover because that's really key, especially in this. What is it? Where am I? Sorry. Okay. Okay. So what I would like to do is, so you guys can do activity 4-7 at your time. It's pretty straightforward. It's just, answerable where there's no fixed answer. But I would like to give you guys some questions to see how we are traveling, if that's okay. Okay, so what is it? We are week 4, day 1. Okay. I know it is around 7:28. If you guys take 15 minutes for this, and then we can take a 10 minutes break. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. Good.
Yep, all good.
There you go. I'm gonna stay quiet, put myself on so that you guys can do this. I'm glad someone has done it. So that means, within 7 minutes, which is really good. May I know who did that? Who completed that?
That would be me, but I did guess maybe about 3, 4.
That's good. No, it's good. Oh, that's good. Who's the second one?
It's me.
Well, good, Stephanie. Good. Now I'm just trying to analyze how long it's how long it is taking on an average, because these are exam questions. So don't hold on. Sorry, didn't mean to. Be on go on mute. In fact, what I'll do is I'll leave the poll running. So once you've done the poll, let's take a 10-minute break. I'll see you guys back at 7:55. Is that okay? I gave you guys 15 minutes for the poll. So I'll see you guys back at 7:55 if you want to go and take a break.
All right.
Okay. Yes, you have to read the book at least once, right? And it is very dry. I understand that. I fully agree. Take even today, I'll tell you, even now, I've been teaching this for almost 10, 12 years, right? Even now today, when I teach the class, I have quick look at the book, okay, just so that I can get the concept, right? Even today, I can, because there are some, and I have to think I have to put myself in your shoes, right? I can get away with, confusing tolerance with threshold, risk tolerance with risk threshold, risk attitude with risk aptitude or something. But I can't have that for you guys, because you have to put it in an exam, because exam asks about these definitions. So there are definitions that you have to take into consideration. You have to remember that. There's some really good techniques and tricks about it. And I can guarantee you, once you read it first time, right, it will be a bit hard, but then it will make sense to you a lot, right? It will make sense to you a lot. So I'll give you a very simple example. When we started this course, most of you had no experience of understanding of agile. I'm hoping when I ask you question now, you guys are telling me about the sprint reviews and plan. We may still get some things out of order, but you now have a concept. When you're going to read the book, you will pick it up immediately what he was talking about. You can align it with the concepts. So I'm counting on it. But again, I'm here. I'm happy to help you guys. More than happy to see, how I can help you guys pass. So you do need to read the book. Keep a highlighter always in your hand. Keep marking it. Keep marking it. And that's how we're gonna do it. Okay. Let's go to apply emotional intelligence to promote team performance. What is emotional intelligence? First of all, let's figure. Guys, the reason I ask you guys for definitions, these concepts, so when I explain you, it is easy for you to remember. And yes, it makes sense, to be very honest. Whether you read the PMBOK or not, trainings like this are very helpful because it refreshes the concept. It helps you remember. I'm hoping for that you guys are getting benefit for it. But you have to put in some effort in reading it as well, right? So tell me, what is emotional intelligence? What is emotional intelligence? Who can tell me what is emotional intelligence? I'm sure somebody can tell me. No, nobody is. Okay.
Maybe understanding, like, and using and managing maybe emotions.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. You're pretty much right. Well, it is also called emotional intelligence or EQ, emotional quotient. Have you heard? So a lot of organizations today, in fact, just today I was put a request. So I'm hiring someone. I'm going through this test. So organization ask candidates to go through this emotional intelligence, emotional quotient testing. Right? A lot of organizations are. It's basically your ability to understand and manage your own emotions and control your emotions, your stress, your reaction to anything, and basically empathize with others. That's what emotional intelligence is, right? There are some techniques, but that's exactly what it is. Understanding, controlling yourself. A lot of in emotional intelligence, a lot of people, if you talk to the in certain culture, a lot of people say, oh, I just cannot accept anybody doing something wrong. I just don't have patience for this, right? People doing wrong. Well, that's where the emotional intelligence, that's what you need to, you don't have to show patience for someone who's doing the right thing, because that is the right thing. But you have to show patience for someone who's doing the wrong thing and try to guide that person. Saying I don't have patience for the wrong thing is basically discarding that person totally, right? So you need to show empathy and guide people. You need to develop patience for people who are doing the wrong thing. You understand where I'm coming from? And that's what the emotional intelligence is, right? It's the ability to understand and use your own emotions for the benefit of yourself and others. That's what the emotional intelligence is. Okay. There's a lot of focus. This was not there until 3 years back, 3-4 years back. So PMI is now focusing a lot on emotional intelligence and how you need to do it. It's basically personal skills, self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation, right? That's the key personal skills. And then you have interpersonal skills, which are social skills and empathy. So remember that social emotional intelligence has 2 categories: personal skills, which includes self-awareness, which is personal to you, self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation, your own motivation, and interpersonal skills, which is social skills and empathy. Okay. Now, emotional awareness, there are some information there, what is being knowing, feeling, perceiving, connection between feeling and behavior. There's a lot of things to read about it. All it is saying that you are emotionally aware of your strengths and weaknesses, and the key thing is become aware of your blind spots, right? Do a self-assessment. A lot of people say, if you guys get a chance, read a book called Black Swan, SWAN, Swan. So that's about risk identification management. It's an old book. That will give you a lot of insight on how to manage yourself. It's about how to manage risk, basically. So by knowing your own strengths and weaknesses, you can help others. Okay. If I am teaching this course, if I'm coaching this course, sorry, teaching is the wrong word probably. If I'm coaching this, providing some information and providing guidance to you guys, that's why I'm aware that I probably have some skills to pass on, right? And I probably have a bit of a self-confidence that, yes, I'm teaching or passing the information to the right thing, right? Right information. I'm taking, when we're talking about it, when you guys are asking me a question, I'm making some decision for you guys, I'm guiding you guys. And that's what it is, right? My job is not to degrade anyone. My job is not to, put down anyone, but basically help everyone pass the exam, right? If I start pointing, no, you can't do this, this is you're not learning, and say, you're going to get very demotivated, and it's going to be very demotivating for the lecturer as well. So you work, when you build emotional intelligence, you help people grow, and in return you grow yourself, right? And that's the concept of servant leadership as well, right? So what are self, so just so that go back, emotional self-awareness elements have emotional awareness, accurate self-assessment, self-confidence, and then self-regulation elements. What are self-regulation elements? Pretty straightforward. Self-control, you're trustworthy, your consciousness, you're adaptable to the changing event. You're not, impulsive or emotional. Innovation, and it's something that you're working around. If you run into a problem, so instead of blaming others, you're coming up new ideas to solve the problem, right? The most important is the self-control. So I'm giving you some, remember these self-regulation elements from exam point of view as well, please. What is self-control under adverse condition? That's what I'm saying. People say, I do not have patience for something wrong, right? That's wrong. Build self-control and staying focused in a stressful environment. One thing I always, when I start teaching fundamentals of project management, so I've developed a course and a lot of people come and join that course. I always say them 2 things, right? I said, do not, if you cannot take stress, if you cannot take stress, and if you cannot communicate properly, project management is not a profession for you. That's not a profession for you. That's the key thing. It is a very stressful profession, but how you manage the stress and you don't vent out on others is the key, right? So self-regulation elements, remember those: self-control, trustworthiness, conscientiousness, adaptability, and innovation. Then we have motivation elements, achievement drive, everybody there, commitment, initiative, and optimism, right? There's a lot of reading to do. I want you guys to read about it. It's better that you guys read about it. Okay, just thinking. What are some ways of developing empathy for people? What do you think? How do you develop empathy for people? Anybody wants to have a go? What are empathy?
their difficulties, for example.
Sorry, come again, Carlo?
Listen to their difficulties,
Listen,
for example.
Yeah,
Just
listening to
understand
people.
their problems. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And understanding
Understanding others, what they're like. I was telling you guys, when I'm preparing these questions, I put myself in your shoe, how you're going to react, how you're going to find to do, right? I know, but I need to have an empathy for you guys because, I need you guys to succeed, right? So there are some empathy elements, understanding others, right? Service orientation. Service orientation has come from servant leadership concept, right? Happily providing help to people. That's the key. Developing others, motivating others to excel. Leveraging diversity. We need to appreciate diversity in our culture in any project, right? Look at this, a very perfect example. So we have a lot of you from New Zealand. I'm from Australia. I know Marisa is from Australia as well. And then we have Miriam from Pakistan. So there's so much diversity there. So we all have different cultural background and also our organization that we have worked. So that brings its own challenge. So be aware of it. I think I mentioned about a couple of weeks back when we're doing, I said, project manager, one of the qualities of the project manager is to be politically smart, because organizations have political environment. The culture of politics is always there. It doesn't have to be negative politics, but it is there. So you need to be politically aware of what's happening around you, how you can influence others. So one of the key things that project manager needs to do is influence others to get the right outcome. If you do not have any ability to influence everyone, so you won't be able to get the job done, right? By the way, you guys can still see my screen, right? Okay, good. And can you see my picture at the top as well?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. All right. Then we have social skills element. What could be the social skills, guys? Communication, building bonds, collaboration and cooperation, and change catalyst. So I think communication is easy. Everybody understands that. And exam question number 1. What is the formula to calculate communication channels? What is the formula to calculate communications channels?
N into n minus 1 by 2.
So what is it? N into n minus 1 by 2. Okay, good. And somebody else now. How much time, percentage of time a PM spends on a project on an average?
90%.
Yep, 85 to 90%. Yep, it's good. Very good. Okay. So we talk about communication, building bonds, building connection. So we talked about why is it important for you to build relationships, right? Bonds, especially in a metrics organization, or even in when you're doing in a functional organization, even in projectized organization, any type of organization culture that you're doing, you deal with people, you build bond. With dealing with people who trust you, who you are most probably will get more benefit out of it than if you're trying to be just autocratic or forceful in your dealing with the people, right? Collaboration and cooperation, right? That's what it is. Change catalyst. What is change? Why change catalyst? What is change catalyst? We talked about it. Change is inevitable in any project. We will run into change, if not today, tomorrow, but there will be change. The thing is to remember is that how you manage change and communicate that change, how you can bring in the process to make sure that people understand the change. So we talked about Kotler's and McKenzie's change model. The whole concept of changes, if you remember, identifying the change, analyzing the change. Yes, what's the third one? Identification of the change, analyzing the change. Did I get that right? Anyone? Come on, guys, I'm testing you. So you identify the change. What's the next step? You document the change, you analyze the change, you implement the change, and you track the change. It's a 5-step process. And identification of the change, documenting the change, analyzing the change, implementing the change, and tracking the change, right? Is important. So remember this 5-step as well. Okay. Sorry. We talked about soft skills, communication management, influence, leadership, team capability. We talked about those, right? Interpersonal and team skills, active listening, communication styles assessment, emotional intelligence, influencing, motivation, nominal group technique. What is a nominal group technique, guys? Who can tell me what is a nominal group technique? Come on, what is a nominal group technique? I could also check. Okay, so nominal group technique is basically a kind of brainstorming technique where you brainstorm the ideas and pick the idea with the most vote, and you basically do a voting as based on the idea. Okay, you do a brainstorming and you come up with different ideas, and then you say, okay, let's do a vote. So the idea that gets the most vote, you basically pick that idea. Okay, it's like ranking of the ideas. And I think that's okay. What is involved in listening, active listening? Okay. Repeat the gist of the message, verify your understanding of the message. We talked about it. Reflecting, attending, and following. Okay. Three steps to active listening: reflecting, attending, and following. From exam point of view, please remember this. Okay. Then I would like you guys on page 246, it talks about some of the personality profile assessments. I'm just going to give you the names. You don't need to know how these are done, but you do need to have a bit of an idea what those are. Just have a look at it. It talks about there are different ways to do it. Has anyone done any of these personality profiles, by the way, at work? Myers-Briggs, have you heard of Myers-Briggs or DISC assessment?
Yes, I've done DISC several years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done Myers-Briggs.
Okay, good. So you guys understand what they are. These are just personality profile assessments. And these are basically helping you understand what the other person is thinking, what you normally you don't do these on projects, but if you have a very long, critical project, you don't do these on IT projects usually, but you do have, as an organization, a lot of organizations are doing this, focusing on this to understand how the personality can be focused on, just to help project manager understand the group that they're dealing with. So there's some techniques.
Fahim, you mentioned, sorry, you mentioned before, a little while back, about how in the team charter there might be, is it there could be a profile assessment in the team charter, or no? That can't happen.
Listen, personality assessments are usually not part of team charter. Okay. Again, like I said, team charter is how you're going to work with the team. Personality assessments are usually not part of the team charter. The reason for that, these things require time and effort, some of them, and you don't go doing personality assessment for every project as well. Practically it's not possible as well. But these are psychological techniques that are available to the organization. Normally, organizations do this a lot, at an organizational level or at a leadership level, all these things, just to have a feel for it, but not at the team chart. If you have the information, you can put in. Nobody's stopping you from that, but it's not something that it's done.
And just to be really, really clear, is there any element of the team charter that is included in the project charter?
Yeah, roles and responsibilities is there, quite a few. So team charter,
because I don't want to maybe a question might come up that it was this included in the team charter, or something along those lines.
There will be a duplication, I can tell you that, but you won't get an answer where it will confuse you with that much. But leave this question for me, I will go. Nobody has asked me this thing. Any element of team charter, project charter, and team charter? There's definitely some duplication. And I'll try to research and come back to you by tomorrow.
No worries. Only if it's absolutely, if important, if it's not a big deal.
But there will be. I can tell you, just by the experience, there will be, right? Roles and responsibilities, defining few things here and there. But the project charter is really small document. it is to initiate the project, give project manager authority. So if you will get a question about project charter, it will be more about what the project charter is used for, or the something around those lines. So I can only guess. I don't know what PM is thinking, but it's a good question to ask. I will find out. Hopefully, I'll try to do it. Inshallah. Thank you very much for asking. Okay, organizational theories. How many are you familiar with? I'm gonna give you theories, so you're gonna explain, because that's the key that I want you guys to focus on. Maslow's hierarchy of need. How many of you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of need? You guys know what is Maslow's hierarchy of need?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I don't need to worry about it. I can just leave it. Is everybody okay with Maslow's hierarchy? Okay, I need to. So Maslow, I don't know what's his full name was, frankly. Maslow came up with this hierarchy of need theory, which says, which is, starting with psychological safety, belonging, esteem, and at the top is a self-actualization, and it says that it is the need for self-actualization or self-realization that drives people. So these are motivational theories as well. It is just to help you understand how some of the project team member may be thinking, what their approach to it. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's on 5 levels: psychological, safety, belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. Right. So that's number 1. Then we have Herzberg's theory X and theory Y. Now, theory X and theory Y. In fact, I'm going to talk about. I think I took some. McGregor's theory of X. McGregor theory X says that person that falls under theory X is somebody who needs micromanagement. People who will require continuous management, and they are to be told what to do. Where people who fall under theory Y are basically very self-motivating and self-regulating. So you don't need to tell them, you don't need to micromanage them. You can basically let them do their work, and they will be okay, and they will do that kind of whatever the work that you give them. And it helps a project manager knowing a personality type, this kind of approach. If you know somebody who needs micromanager, who needs to be told, you'll probably take a bit of an authoritative style of leadership towards that person, versus somebody who's theory X, who falls in the theory X approach, where that person is, self-motivating, and you don't need micromanage. You'll probably have a more collaborative approach towards that person. If you've seen in an organization where you have a different type of people, some people you have to tell them what to do, and some people you say, okay, I want this done. Can you go and do this job? So that's that. There's a gentleman by the name of Uchi, who was a Japanese scientist. You probably not have this over here in this. I've got this Uchi. Uchi added McGregor's theory X and theory Y. He added a theory called theory Z. He said that individuals are influenced by the culture that they are in. Right. So because Japanese are very culture-oriented environment. So his theory was based on the Japanese culture, values of lifetime employment, slow promotion, and non-specialized career path, and collective decision making. I just put this so I note that, right? It postulates that theory Z postulates that high level of trust, intimacy, confidence, and commitment to workers by management results in high level of motivation and production by workers. So that's what his theory was. Then we have theory by there's achievement theory. There's Herzberg's motivational theory. Herzberg's theory was based on hygiene. There are 2 factors. There are hygiene factor and motivators. So hygiene is what is called. I'm just looking my notes as well. Hygienes are basically poor hygiene is said. So clean working environment. Should be clean working. Workers are motivated if they have a good collaborative clean working environment. They will be more motivated to do the work good job compared to people who are who have poor hygiene, or environment is not very collaborative, maybe a bit of a political toxic environment. And when you're in your hygiene, this is where he used the word hygiene. So if the hygiene is good, it's a clean hygiene environment, then the workers are automatically interested in their work. And if you apply this theory to yourself, see if you have a manager who is really accommodating, works with you, help you, you'll probably work more willingly for whatever he or she says than somebody who's very authoritative, directing and so on and so forth. Does it make sense? Okay. You guys, okay?
Yes.
Okay. What else? I think there's another gentleman by the name of Vroom, which is not here as well. This is additional notes that I'm giving. Vroom, 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 and his was expectancy theory. His was expectancy theory, right? You'll probably find these theories in PMBOK, by the way. So he said that his theory said that people think about the effort they put in into that before they do it. So people think about how much it's going to take them to do a certain thing before they start doing it. This is his research, right? And if they feel that what work they're doing is going to be successful and rewarding, they will be more likely to be motivated and productive. So that was Vroom's expectancy theory, right? Like everybody, before doing anything, they think about it, what they're doing, and if they think that's going to be very rewarding and and successful for them, then they are automatically more inclined towards putting effort into that. Okay, and then we have Hersey and Blancard's theory. So Hersey and Blancard's life cycle theory. I'll put that name in there in the chat so that I don't confuse you guys. So Hersey and Blancard. So Hersey and Blancard. Okay, so Blancard. So life cycle theory. So there was sorry, I put it. Apologies. Sorry, Juliet. My mistake. I put a direct message, which is so Hersey and Hersey and Blancard life cycle. Okay, Hersey and Blancard's life cycle theory. And according to this theory, the maturity of the leadership style must change with the maturity of individual employee. So that's what the theory was saying, maturity is defined as a job-related experience of that individual employee. So they said, if you want to get motivated people, your management style should change as people become more mature and experienced in the organization. Any questions? These are some of the theories for you guys to remember.
Fahim, do you have a page number in the PMBOK for all these theories that you mentioned, by any chance?
No, some of these, I'll get you that, but some of these are from my own notes.
Okay, because I tried to find it.
You'll not find all of them. You'll probably not find it, but let me see if they're there.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, what I said, it's 50% is from the book and 50%, from outside. So they're organizational theories, motivational theories. But I'll try to say motivational theories are. It should be in resources chapter, which is 7, I think. 9, chapter 9, resource management, project resource management. So, but anyway, I'll find out. Okay.
Yeah, I tried to find by the words, like search find, Control F. Couldn't find.
Okay. I'll see if I can. Let me. That's pretty much it. Let's see what the activity is for. From exam point of view, you guys do need to know these theories. Okay. I would like you guys to know these theories. So what I'm going to do is, so you guys can do activity 4-8 at home, not a problem. Can I ask you guys to go to page 302, Mastery Builder 3-1. Mastery Builder 3-1. Reviewing the work, doing the work, reviewing, doing the work. Can you find it?
Yes.
So just check one more thing, whether I should let you guys do this, or I was thinking. Okay. I've got another 10 questions for you, but I would rather you guys. First of all, any questions on what we have done up to now? I'll start the next chapter tomorrow. We'll probably finish the entire chapter tomorrow. I do want to ask you guys for one thing. So the last chapter, which is keeping the business in mind, is basically summarizing everything that you have learned up till now. It is basically summarizing what we have learned up till now, how you use the information that you've gone through, risk responses, configuration management system, compliance, quality, and so on and so forth, in terms of how you apply those two in managing a business. So I would really ask you guys, I know it's probably late for you guys, might be a good idea if you guys try to at least read first two chapters. And I would like to spend some time tomorrow more on doing activity. So on page 263, there's a decision tree analysis. You'll probably get one or two questions on that as well. So page 263, right? Try to see if you understand what is happening there. And then we're going to talk about it tomorrow.
Page 263.
263. This expected monetary value. It's basically under decision tree analysis. But the last chapter is basically all is it doing is it's summarizing what we have learned up to now. Literally, that's all it is doing. Yes, 15-20 pages there. What is it? So 285. Yeah, hardly 30 pages. All it is doing is it's summarizing what we have learned. It's basically going back to. So tomorrow going to be a lot of me asking a lot of questions to the group. Keep you guys awake. So I'm prepared. What is a configuration management system? What are the risk responses? You remember that? What are opportunity? What is a risk register? How do we do that? What are those things? Questions, guys? Okay. Would you like to do 3-1 now, or you want to spend 15 minutes tomorrow to review those questions and you want to do it at home? What do you guys want to do? You guys want to finish today? We've got 10 minutes. I'm happy to finish today early, but at the same time, you do need to do Mastery Builder 3-1. Last day, I really want to focus on giving you guys tips and information how to approach exam. I think that will really help you guys. And then, yeah, that's what I'd like to focus on as much as we can. I do some exercises, some questions, more questions, help you answer your if you have any confusion around anything.
For him, do we still have Wednesday, or tomorrow would be the last day?
No, we have Wednesday. We definitely have Wednesday.
Okay. So we still have quite some time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to spend Wednesday helping you guys how to approach the exam. If we can finish so this is exam requirements. If it had been face-to-face, it would have been a 35 hours course with you guys, So this is with 3 hours every week. This is 36 hours, 3, 4, 30, right? So what we want is what is it? Yeah, 9 for the 36, 36. I'm just trying to calculate. I want to use some time. And listen, I will leave it up to you how you guys want to use the last day. I prefer that I give you run through some tips, how to do the exam, how to approach it, some key chapters and areas in PMBOK to focus on, some of the tips, how to learn, remember things. I'll see if I can get some handouts for you guys that you can use that would really help. I'll see that as well. I'll try to get you guys that as well. In fact, let me see if I can get you guys some handouts. At least that will help you. Yeah, that's good. So, do you guys want to do 3-1 now, or you want to come back tomorrow to discuss with me?
I would leave as a homework, I guess.
So out of 9, you're the only one. So I think the rest wants to do it now. Kate is saying, yes, I want to do now, right?
I have already done it.
Sorry, Kate.
I have already done it.
Oh, you have already done. Oh, well done. There you go.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was our homework for today. I don't know.
No, it's fine. Which is really good. If you have done it, Kate, give it a go for 4-1. I was going to ask you guys tomorrow. No, I'm going to ask you guys 4-1 because the whole idea is, I would rather you guys try these questions and ask me questions so I can help you understand the reasoning for the answer rather than you guys just having a go. So by all means. Okay, I'll then let you guys go. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And I'll see if I can get some handouts for you guys.
I just have a bit of a question about all the videos, and also the access for the question as well.
Access for the question, sorry.
You remember that when we first started, you mentioned that after we finished this course,
yeah.
So there's two
what
things.
What you're going to do is, sorry to interject, Mohammed. No, sorry. Go ahead, man.
Oh, no, just two things. Number one is the full videos for the whole session that we have. I went to your YouTube, but I couldn't find some of the other videos, so I don't really know where they are located. So just need the link for where the video located. And number two is for the questions as well, some sort of a notes or information that Face has prepared or something.
So that's right. So I'll give you access to the videos. That's not an issue, though it's still there, but I'll sort that out. And at the end of on the last day, I will also give you guys at the end of the course, I'll see if I can get you guys on that. You're gonna get access to the PM Training School portal. So you will not only get access to the portal so you can revise it, you will get an opportunity basically to do about 800 practice exams. So that's what I wanted. One of the reasons I did not release that to you guys because I wanted you guys to go through the course, and then now when you're going to go and do the questions, you'll be thinking about it, how to approach that. Right? Am I here to explain if you run into a problem? So those questions are based on exam. So that's a very good way to practice for the exam. And so you will get that access, not a problem. Now, once you get the access, you can go and do it, whatever you want. My ask to you guys is, this is my ask. Please read PMBOK before you access those questions. Nobody's taking that access. Access is going to be there for you guys for next 12 months. You're going to get a 1-year access. Please don't try the questions without reading the PMBOK. The reason for that is once you do the questions, it's a human nature. You tend to remember the answers sometime, right? Read the book. So when you do the questions, it is easy for you to understand why you're picking that answer. Otherwise, you're just guessing, right? Yes, the exams are pretty, 800 questions are pretty good, right? But we also have a situation where people went and did the questions and didn't pass because they ignored PMBOK, right? So it's up to you how you want to approach it. It's full access to you guys, but I would highly recommend that you read the PMBOK and the Agile Guide.
Fahim,
yep.
Let's say that we are ready to take the exam. if I want to book that, am I able to book that for next day, for example, or do I need to book like well in advance?
No, so now what they have done is, so before that, so what happens is, give yourself at least a couple of weeks, because when you submit the application, there's a assessment and auditing process that it goes through. It's an online application. If anyone, if you're ready, I'm happy to show you guys, maybe when you guys are ready, let me know. I can run a session for you guys to how to submit an application. So there's an application process. I would give myself at least 2 weeks. It usually takes 5 to 6 days, but let's say 2 weeks for them to go through the application process and assess, and then say, yep, you're good to go. You can go there for the exam. And then you have to book the exam. Now, before January, you would have to go online, book the exam with PROPRAC. I had to go to the institute. My understanding is, and I'm going to verify that again, now you can give the PMI exam from home as well. So if you book and you're ready, you can just give the exam immediately. But it doesn't work like that. So you have to book with them. There will be somebody watching you on a video. There's a strict conditions on how you can give the exam from home. You can give the exam from home, but there are strict conditions on how to do it. Like you can't move from your chair, you can't do anything. The camera has to show the whole room, and there are a few things there. I'll explain you. This is available on the PMBOK PMP exam instructions as well. I'll send you some links. You guys read for it. But yeah, give yourself, I would say, 2 weeks before you. And by the way, submit the application now. I'll tell you. If you complete the requirements, if you have the project requirement, submit the application now. It's an online. You don't have to take the exam immediately. It gives you 12 months to take the exam. So if you submit the application today, I would suggest submit your application, on Thursday, right? Because this exams give you the education requirement that you need. You're good to go. Submit your application with experience, whatever the questions they ask, and then when it gets approved, then you're ready to take the exam whenever you want. That's what you should do. You don't have to wait for it.
Oh, good. And for like the study plan, for example, so would you like think it is like necessary to have like at least 2 weeks or like more than that to go through the whole PMBOK and also like to the 800 questions that you mentioned that we are going to be having access, for example?
Yeah, listen, it depends on individual, right? There's no right or wrong answer. I would give myself a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks to prepare, go through it. Once I've read the PMBOK and prepare and then do the questions, right? See, we have a tendency to go to the question, jump to the question and say, oh, I've got this question right, but why? So I should go for the exam. Yes, you can do that. But if you don't understand the answer, same question will come in the exam in a different way and you'll struggle. So yeah, I would say, yeah, depending on. Let's talk about this in detail on the last day. I'm going to take you guys, I'm going to give you guys some guidance how to do it, how to approach this, and we can take it from there. But let me just stop the video. But thank you very much. I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, and we'll continue the final chapter. Thank you, guys.